My sister-in-law admitted she secretly hoped her baby would fuss and disrupt my child-free wedding because she was uncomfortable with my lifestyle. But in the end, she only managed to sabotage her own marriage. It started out as just another family holiday gathering. My wife Jess and I had been planning a big Christmas party for weeks, and the house was filled with lights, the smell of mulled wine, and that comforting warmth you only get when you know everyone you care about is coming together. It was meant to be a celebration, a chance to reconnect with family and friends. Little did I know that it would all unravel, and at the center of the chaos was my sister-in-law Hannah. For some background, Jess and I had gotten married earlier that year in September. We had opted for a small wedding, keeping it intimate, mostly because we didn't want to deal with the stress of a big affair. We decided it would be a child-free event, an intentional decision. The only exception was my half-sister, who was a bit older, and I had asked her to be one of my bridesmaids. But when my brother Alex and his wife Hannah RSVP'd for the wedding, I made sure to call them ahead of time. I reminded them that we had a child-free policy, and while I knew they loved their baby, they wouldn't be able to bring him along. I even told them this in person during a summer visit, just to make sure there were no surprises. They assured me that they understood, that they had arranged for a babysitter for their baby, and that it wouldn't be a problem. So, imagine my surprise when, on the actual day of the wedding, Alex and Hannah showed up with their then 8-month-old son in tow. I didn't want to cause a scene, especially on our wedding day, so I let it go. We got about 2 minutes into the ceremony before the crying started, loud, desperate sobs that cut through the delicate atmosphere. They tried to ignore it for a while, but the baby's cries were so disruptive, it was impossible. Eventually Hannah took the baby outside, but it didn't help much. She ended up leaving the ceremony early, taking the baby back to their car and going home. Alex stayed for the reception, but that was that. In the moment I kept my mouth shut, but I was disappointed. I had gone out of my way to make the wedding as perfect as possible, and that moment stuck in my head for months. Still, I didn't say anything. Fast forward to the Christmas party. The house was ready, the music was playing, and people were showing up. Everything seemed to be going according to plan. That was until Alex, Hannah, and their baby walked in. It didn't take long for the irritation to bubble up. A month prior, Hannah had texted me saying they wouldn't be attending at all because they'd be spending Christmas with her family. So why were they here? I made my way over to greet them, pulling Alex aside. I asked him why they hadn't let me know they were coming. I explained that I hadn't made enough food for extra people, let alone a baby. Alex gave me a blank look and said he didn't know what I was talking about. Apparently, Hannah had led him to believe they weren't going to be here at all, and when I pointed out the discrepancy, everything went south. Alex turned to Hannah, asking her why she'd said they wouldn't be attending. Her response was immediate. She accused me of lying, of hating their child, and it was all said loud enough to grab the attention of everyone in the room. The room fell silent as people stopped talking and turned to watch what was unfolding. It felt like something out of a movie. Alex was clearly confused, and I was just as baffled by the turn of events. I quickly corrected her, explaining that I never said I hated their son, and I reminded them that I had made an exception for their child at the wedding. I had even kept my mouth shut when the baby's cries disrupted the ceremony. I wasn't angry at their child, but I was incredibly frustrated with Hannah's behavior. Jess had been in the kitchen, and she started walking over, sensing the tension. But Hannah wouldn't back down. She doubled down on her accusations, making it clear she wanted to paint me as the villain. That's when I lost it. In front of everyone, I snapped, telling her that if I was such a liar and hated her child, then she and her son should just leave. The silence in the room after that was deafening. I could feel the eyes of the guests on me, and before I knew it, Hannah was crying and storming out, slamming the door behind her. Alex followed her, giving me a pitying look before leaving. The party had been completely derailed, and as I stood there, the guilt and shame washed over me. Jess came up to me trying to comfort me, but I felt utterly deflated. What had just happened? It wasn't long before I received a text from Alex. He said he didn't know who to believe anymore, and that Hannah had been insisting that I had allowed their son to attend the wedding at the last minute because I felt bad. Hannah also claimed that I made up the whole thing about the Christmas party because I was always trying to make her look bad. According to her, I had a vendetta against her and wanted to ruin her life. The next few days were awkward. Family members reached out, offering their support, but I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe I had overreacted. Was I in the wrong? I started to question myself. But then, just 2 days after the party, my brother Alex showed up at my house. He came by late at night asking to talk. What followed was a conversation I would never forget. He explained that after taking some time and space away from Hannah, he confronted her. She initially tried to deny everything, gaslighting him into thinking he was imagining things, but when Alex pressed her, she finally broke. That's when she admitted something that floored me. Hannah confessed that she'd always disliked me, not because of anything I had done, but because she was uncomfortable with my lifestyle. She told Alex that Jess made her particularly uncomfortable, especially because of how she dressed and presented herself. But that wasn't even the worst part. Hannah went on to say something that left me speechless. She admitted that, during the wedding, she had secretly hoped her baby would cry or fuss, just to ruin the ceremony. She wanted to make me look unhinged, like I couldn't handle the situation. It was all part of some twisted plan to make me seem unreasonable in front of the family. She wanted to make me look like the villain, and her baby was her weapon. But the shocking revelations didn't stop there. As the conversation progressed, Alex told me that Hannah confessed she had been having an affair for 6 years. She had been carrying on a relationship with another man, Josh, for the entirety of their marriage. To make it even worse, she dropped the bombshell that she was certain their baby wasn't even Alex's. After 6 years of marriage, she had betrayed him in the most unforgivable way. I couldn't believe it. My mind was spinning. Hannah had been playing us all for fools. I had no idea that she was capable of this level of deceit. The fact that she had been so hateful towards me, all because of my relationship with Jess, made it even more surreal. It was hard to comprehend how much she had been hiding from everyone, including Alex. I couldn't tell Jess any of this. She didn't need to know the details of what Hannah had said. But I was glad to know the truth. It made me feel less guilty about calling out her behavior at the party. Alex, on the other hand, was devastated. He had no idea about the affair, and he was heartbroken to learn that his wife had been lying to him for so long. As it stands, Alex is staying with us for the time being. The tension between him and Hannah is palpable, and they're heading toward a divorce. Christmas was just around the corner and everything felt like it was on hold. I don't know what will happen next, but one thing is certain. I'll never feel guilty for standing up for myself again.